Oh, that sound work is great. It building up as we ascend. Oh, that's really fun. Whoa. Oh! Oh, we are so far up. Wow. Wow. It's actually not a terrible looking city. So high up, huh? Lovely. The final chapter. Dark energy. No! My super zappy gun! Mossman?
I'll take him from here. Don't struggle, it's no use. Until you're where he wants you, there's nothing you can do. I'm sorry, Gordon.
Well, I guess it's the thought that counts, Judith.
Satellites colonized by sentient Fuji gas giants, inhabited by vast meteorological intelligences, worlds stretched thin across the membranes where the dimensions intersect. Impossible to describe with our limited vocabulary.
He sounds like he's like writing bad sci-fi.
Genocide, indescribable evil. Good God.
Well, if it isn't Gordon Freeman at last.
Hello.
What's this? I'll put it over there.
Oh, the most dangerous weapon in the universe? Whatever.
Gratitude, Doctor. First you lead me straight to the doorstep of my oldest friend, then you deliver yourself.
Yeah, funny how that went.
If I'd known you weren't going to come straight up to my office, I wouldn't have bothered hunting you in the first place.
Yeah.
Having both of you in my keeping ensures I can dictate the terms of any bargain I care to make with the Combine.
Dr. Breen.
Huh.
Wallace.
Yes, Judith, what is it?
The bargain we should be making is for Eli's life so he can continue his research.
Oh, look at his eye
Thanks to
roll
you, we
there.
have everything we need in that regard.
I love that.
You're more than qualified to finish his research yourself. What neither you nor I can do is convince that rabble in the streets to give up their senseless struggle. Yet Eli refuses to speak the words that would save them all.
Save them? For what?
Eli, if you won't do the right thing for the good of all people, maybe you'll do it for one of them.
Oh, no.
Alex, honey,
Dad. Gordon?
Yeah.
God damn you, Breen, you let her go.
That's all up to you, my old friend.
Fancy hanging around here, huh?
Stubborn short-sightedness doom the entire species, or will you give your child the chance her mother never had?
How dare you even mention her?
Alex, my dear, you have your mother's eyes, but your father's stubborn nature.
You haven't seen a bit of it yet.
This guy's so creepy.
Really? Well, let's see how well it serves you on the far side of a Combine portal.
Go ahead, Breen. If that's the worst you can do, send us both through your portal.
Oh, it's hardly the worst. But you might find that hard to believe once you get there.
That's a pretty good line,
Necessary.
though.
I agree. It's a total waste. Fortunately, the Resistance has shown it is willing to accept a new leader. And this one has proven to be a fine pawn for those who control him.
Don't listen to him.
That line's
How about
cool.
it, Dr. Freeman? Did you realize your contract was open to the highest bidder?
Gordon would never make any kind of deal with you.
Look at his...
You don't wish to discuss this in front of your friends? I'll send them on their way, and then we can talk openly.
Don't struggle, honey.
Dad, I'm so sorry.
Alex, sweetheart.
Judith, what do you think you're doing?
Oh,
We're doing what I could never do alone. We're stopping you.
Yes.
that line, yes.
They know you betrayed them. They'll turn on you. Judith, Dr. Mossman, please.
I'm sorry, Wallace. You're all out of time. Don't.
This guy is... Come on, let's go.
Hurry.
Oh my god, behind you!
Dad, hang on.
You fool.
Watch out, he's gonna...
No!
Oh god! Wow, that was unpleasant. My zappy thing! That jerk!
There's no time, Alex. He's on his way to the portal. You'll need this.
Dr. Mossman, Judith, look after my father.
Don't you worry.
Aw, they had a cute, small little
Not
reconciliation
saying goodbye.
moment.
Never.
Aw, that's
Come on,
really
Gordon.
nice.
Let's go.
My girl.
I really like that little moment these guys have, even if it's a little bit rushed, the reconciliation with Mossman.
We haven't known each other very long, but I know you didn't have to do this. I had to rescue my father, but you... Well, thanks for coming after me.
Hey, no sweat, you'd have done the same.
Hey, listen. That's him.
Oh.
Portal destination is untenable. Surely you can set the relay elsewhere. There's no way I can survive in that environment. Host body, you must be joking. I can't
There
possibly.
he is.
Oh, all right. Damn it, if that's what it takes. Just hurry. He's right behind me.
Speaking of, ooh.
Oh, shit.
That line's really funny. By the way, the true face of the Combine right there for like a split second.
Not again.
Hey! Look what we found! Dude, got in the
He doesn't have a clue, does
got
he?
in the freaking elevator then? Okay, we can get him.
Where he's going.
Give me something, Alex. We gotta catch up with him.
Oh my god. This is the Citadel's dark fusion reactor. It powers their tunneling entanglement device.
Okay.
We'll never have a chance like this again. We've got to stop Dr. Breen.
No kidding. Yeah, wow. Let's do this.
I can't shut it down. Looks like he's turned over control to the other side. You'll have to go into the core and do what you can.
Okay, okay.
Get in the elevator and I'll let you in.
Thanks, just like Nova Prospect, huh?
To charge up your suit.
I got this. No worries, Alex. Let's rock. Good luck!
Do your worst, Gordon. But be careful.
Same to you! Oh, we're going down. Okay. Right, yeah, no, nothing to go up there. Dude, this freaking hype music. Okay, never mind. I'm like, this finale, actually, I'm really pumped for. This is really good stuff. Breen!
Dr. Freeman, you really shouldn't be out there. At the moment of synapse, as I teleport, this chamber will be bathed in deadly particles that have yet to be named by human science. Pleasure to do the work myself.
Incredibly
I'll
sorry
name
for the
them
cut
after you.
there.
That way you won't be completely forgotten. When the singularity collapses, I will be far away from here, in another
Oh,
universe as a
hello.
You, on the other hand, will be destroyed in every way
Yes!
possible to
Let's
be
go.
destroyed, and even in some which are essentially impossible.
Sounds really charming, Breen.
Combine soldiers. Where did they come from?
Oh, that was still lethal. Got it.
Combine soldiers.
Damn it, Breen! Darn, his little teleport globe protects him, even from these bouncy balls. Oh,
I don't know what you can possibly hope to achieve apart from your
Well.
annihilation.
Don't listen to him, Gordon.
yeah, hold on, Breen. I got a couple of ideas for you. Oh! Darn it. Really screwing up with these.
Combine soldiers. Where did they come?
Okay, I'm really bumbling this now. That interruption must have like really gotten me mega tilted here. My apologies for that, like in such a dramatic moment, but there was in fact a person at the door I had to answer. Yeah.
I don't know what you can possibly hope to achieve apart from
So,
your own annihilation.
I think this... I'm not sure if we're on a timer yet. This level has a bit of a timer on it, because Breen is on an elevator, and the portal is, like, above. So he's gonna start moving in a bit. So, for now, I'm just gonna boogie on as best as I can. Oh boy, hold on. No, he's still pretty still for now. Yeah, this is actually, if you remember Lambda Core in Half-Life 1, kind of shades of that in this final climb, because it is a bit of a jumping puzzle as we try to figure out how to ascend the teleportation chamber here in...
Oh no, Breen started his ascent.
Okay. Oh, actually, yeah, this is what I gotta do.
Before he escapes.
Yeah, I'm working on it, working on it, working on it. That piston over there wasn't the answer. It's taking his sweet time, though, so... I'm not worried yet, but we'll see. We have a charge up here. I saw it.
Keep going.
Thank you. Actually, we'll just ignore those guys. They're beneath me. You're beneath me. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
I could have told you that was pointless, Dr. Freeman.
Okay. Noted, Doctor Green.
Are you still with us, Dr. Freeman?
Oh,
Not
yes.
for much longer, I think.
That's where I came from, right?
Only you had harnessed your boundless energy for a useful purpose.
There! Man, this brutalist architecture, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. Hey, find a little physics funniness. The freaking corpse flop there.
Oh my god.
Here we are.
The portal is open.
This is sort of kind of the final boss.
Go back, Freeman. I have no idea what you're doing.
There's the portal up there, by the way, into something really unpleasant. So this is the tough part. There's 2 gunships here. Trying to land shots inside the portal through the shields. Give the gunships a little something to think about. Yeah, you don't like that, do you? And yeah, if we take too long, Breen will get in the elevator, and it's gonna be game over. But with these gunships... Oh.
You don't know what you will unleash. You could bring down this whole Citadel. Think, man. Think.
Whoops, there we go. Well, you should think about yourself.
You need me.
We did it! Come on, Gordon. We've got to get out of here. Maybe we still have...
Oh. Right.
Time, Dr. Freeman? Is it really that time again? It seems as if you only just arrived. You've done a great deal in a small time span. You've done so well, in fact, that I've received some interesting offers for your services. Ordinarily, I wouldn't contemplate them, but these are extraordinary times.
No, no!
Rather than offer you the illusion of free choice, I will take the liberty of choosing for you.
No, not again!
And when your time comes round again, I do apologize for what must seem to you an arbitrary imposition, Dr. Freeman. I trust it will all make sense to you in the course of... Well, I'm really not at liberty to say. In the meantime, this is where I get off.
It's a call back to the start of the game when you're on the train and that one guy gets off. Very similar, even this like a shot here of him walking off the same way as that first guy. Mysterious. That was Half-Life 2, everybody! Wow! Ooh, I had a good time there at the end. Kind of screwed up there with those like bounce balls, trying to get past them while Breen was yammering there, but otherwise, I pulled through really well, I'd say. Didn't die on the encounter with the double gunships blowing up the portal, so the reactor. So really happy, yeah. Well, this was delightful. Of course, because I knew it's Half-Life 2. Both Half-Life games are absolutely incredible experiences. Well, you could say all Half-Life games are incredible experiences. Now, let me think. I gotta get into this review here, but let's really think, because I've been let's really think quickly, but no, not so quickly that I screw up my words. I have talked about which Half-Life do I like more, and I'm gonna have to give the lame answer. I'm gonna have to boot on this. I can't decide. Half-Life 1 is so flavorful, but so is this one, and, like, there's, like, some frustrating stuff going on in here, but so there is in Half-Life 1 as well, so, like, which one balances out? I just don't know. Yeah, I... Interesting. Freaking Barney and G-Man were both Mike Shapiro? Okie dokie. Yeah, I don't know. Man, this music is good in Half-Life 2. Well, in Half-Life 1 as well. I don't know, because, like, Half-Life 2 is really impressive, and maybe now, 20 years later, it might not be impressive in every way anymore. It can show its age. No doubt about that. But there's also stuff where I was like, huh, this is really, really impressive that, like, this is still, like, this good 20 years later. So, like, this is an amazing game, all things considered still. So, I don't know. We can celebrate that Valve made 2 just, like, amazing first-person shooters, regardless of which one's the better one. There's no need to always rank things, right? Right, yeah. So, what do I like about the story in Half-Life 2? Well, for one, it is a story now. Half-Life 1 has a story, but it's a very thin one, which is a funny thing, given... Oh, by the way, hold on. I think there's a gag here.
Lamar!
Aw, that's silly Billy. Ah, we got gooped. Yeah. So the story was rather non-existent in Half-Life 1. It was so, like, immersive sim and, like, out of your face. The story that, like, you know, the story was just the mystery of what was going on in Black Mesa and, like, the drama. And it's funny to think now because Half-Life was notable for making first-person shooters to have a story. But now, like, 25 years later, it's just laughable how, like, non-existent that story there is. But, like, that's not to shit on it. Like, the fact that it is just the incredibly simple story of one guy trapped in this science facility is what makes it really delightful. But Half-Life 2, okay, there now is more emphasis on story. There are now named characters who participate a lot, and they have talked to each other in significant amounts. There are plot twists. There are, you know... There is, you know, multiple environments to giving you lots of storytelling, even in that, like, immersive sense. It's not just science facility. There's, like, a lot to take in. There's, like, big emotions being evoked by the characters and what's going on. It's interesting. It's a double-edged sword, because since Ice mentioned that it's, like, really lovely that Half-Life 1 has such a simple story, but, like, is so immersive... This one feels a little bit more like a modern story-heavy story, and we're, you know, the kind of thing that, like, old beardies will complain about, like, oh, these modern games where you have to sit through a cutscene and you can't just get into the action. Half-Life 2 is still a really good balance on the gameplay and the versus the amount of cutscenes and, like, story exposition. But, like, it's no doubt that it's heavier here than Half-Life 1. You know, you have to deal with, like, you know, Half-Life technically doesn't have cutscenes, but there's so many situations where you're standing around and walking around and waiting for characters to finish talking that, you know, technically is just an interactive cutscene. Duh. So that happens way more here than in Half-Life 1, and yeah, that's a bit double-edged. Like, I think it if you really like the immersive vibe of Half-Life 1, you have to accept a bit more of this, like, exposition in Half-Life 2. But I do think the story is a really gripping one. Like, it is fascinating, the thrust into the situation. Like, Gordon finds himself in the far future. Like, you are so disoriented by this dystopian world you've ended up in, and then you gotta, like, you know, figure out what your role even is there. Like, it's kind of fun that halfway through the game, or like a third through the way of the game, when you're in Black Mesa East, they're talking about how, like, you're gonna, like, get out of your combat suit and start doing science, which is Gordon's calling in life, really, you know? And you kind of feel like, oh, that feels weird, even though you know that, obviously you know that's not going to happen, and you're going to still have a first-person shooter to play. What am I thinking? But in the story, it's interesting, like, those feelings of, like, like, Gordon, you can imagine Gordon questioning, like, is this life even for him anymore, of just being a physicist? And then, like, it's the choice is made for him, and he is forced to, just still be the hero of Half-Life and like, be an action guy, So interesting little juxtaposition there. And then that's actually fed back here with Breen's, armor-piercing, interrogation of you, with the whole, like, what have you done as a scientist, that whole spiel. It's kind of cool. So there's interesting layers in the plot, even if it's ultimately not a very dense plot, but still really fun, and the immaculate vibes of City 17 this is a really creative setting. Certainly beats out that's not fair. Black Mesa was super creative, but, like, this really, the alien architecture invading Earth is really realized super well here. So it's, like, really good. There's the meta plot that I want to talk about a little bit, which is Gordon being a servant of the G-Man, as we were reminded here at the end. And, of course, the G-Man constantly appearing to, like, skulk at you, just like in Half-Life 1. Now that we kind of know his deal, I don't think it's nearly as fun to try and Where's Waldo him. And I think he shows up way less than he did in Half-Life 1. But, it's still kind of fun. But yeah, there's the meta plot, and I gotta talk a little bit about the sequels, the episodes, and Half-Life Alyx. Obviously, the ending is like you could say that the ending is kind of a boring one, like a kind of like, once again you are whisked out by the G-Man and, like, taken out of the situation, and there's not a lot of good closure there. Personally, I was actually intrigued by, is the plot just gonna be that every time, it's like every Half-Life, it's gonna be Gordon thrust into a new situation sometime later in the future, once again a new mess that he's trying to deal with, that somehow he's working for the G-Man and his clients, Like, it was just going to be like this, bunny hopping from weird scenarios. Kind of like, I've been listening to a podcast recently called It's a Matter of Time, which currently is reviewing an old-timey 60s sci-fi show called The Time Tunnel. So I've been watching The Time Tunnel a little bit, where the plot is that these two scientists, every episode, they, like, get dropped into a different time period, and they, like, try to solve, like, some, like, episodes worth of, like, plot shenanigans in this time period, and then they're forced to be whisked away to another new time period for the next episode. So I was expecting something, or, Quantum Leap is the other example of, Scott Bakula being tossed around into parallel worlds for one episode, and he has to figure stuff out to do there, Or was that Sliders? Did Scott Bakula also go to, like, parallel worlds, or was that just Sliders? I don't remember. Anyway, I was expecting something similar from Half-Life's story, but of course it ended up being that this whole Combine plot dominates the plot going on from here on. Half-Life Episodes 1 and Episode 2 are Gordon being rescued from the G-Man, spoilers here, look at the start of Episode 1, being rescued from the G-Man and finding himself back in the City 17 environs and helping out the rebels still deal with the Combine. And of course, Half-Life Alyx is a prequel where you play as Alyx that is, again, still set in City 17. So my impression was that we're going to be hopping from new situations, new villains, new stuff, But, like, actually, it really seems like the writers at Valve intended the Combine to kind of be the main thing of Half-Life, which means that the whole Black Mesa incident is kind of a prequel to all of that is a little bit disconnected from the larger plot of the Combine. Although it is connected, I don't know where you find this out, but the Nihilith and the Zen aliens, they were actually fleeing from the Combine. When the Resonance Cascade event happened, the Nihilith was planning on taking over Earth as a refuge for the Zen aliens to hide from the Combine. The Nihilith's psychic powers were also shielding Earth and Zen at the time from the Combine pursuers. And when you kill the Nihilith, that reveals Earth to the Combine, and that's when the invasion then happens here. Again, I don't know where you find all that out, but that's what I've read is like the plot behind Half-Life, so just so you know. I remember seeing people critiquing that exact thing of like, it's just going to be Gordon jumping from one crazy new thing after another without any story arc or any closure. It's just him in new episodic adventures, and I can respect that. I was in a part really hoping for something like that, so I was blindsided when the episodes decided to just be more about the Combine plot. But, yeah, I don't know, the meta plot of the G-Man and his clients is a little bit intrusive, but that seems to serve the plot of, there is some plots of, there is, plot threads of, are you in control of your destiny here in this story? And G-Man is definitely saying no, but there is elements that are being built to, and of course, unfortunately, Half-Life has been very poor in receiving sequels, so we haven't really had a chance to find out what that all is building up to. But clearly, there is something more going on than just Gordon's wacky time travel trips between episodes. But yeah, you got to have the I can understand that ending is a bit of a bummer in that you're just kind of thrust out of it. Thankfully, the episodes come out and actually give you a little bit more chance of closure, except for the fact that episode 3 never came out, so there literally is no closure. Great. Also, I do love that Dr. Breen's dialogue does seem to refer to the G-Man, right? When he's you're open for a highest bidder here, Gordon. He's alluding to the forces puppeting Gordon. And even if you really want to, Dr. Mossman, in this episode, when she's don't struggle. Until you're where he wants you, there's nothing you can do. That could also, that's just as valid for the G-Man as for Dr. Breen. So it's kind of interesting, which one, you get paranoid on who is in on this grand conspiracy. Yeah, I don't know. So clearly there's something interesting in this plot going on, since I've gone on for 15 minutes now, I think, about just that. Let's talk about the gameplay. Fantastic first-person shooter, and really a bit of a last of its kind. After this is when Call of Duty got big, just a few years later, with the regenerating health and the, specific weapon loadouts, and, just the melodrama of those kinds of stories. So Half-Life really actually, in hindsight, Half-Life 2, represents the end of an era a little bit. And I'm being a little dramatic, because it's not like these games ever went away, but, and then they're having a resurgence nowadays, But what I'm saying is that, the big paradigm shift in first-person shooters happened after Half-Life 2, and we didn't really understand that that's what was going to happen in 2004. It's interesting in that sense. But yeah, now this feels just like a nice, nostalgic, warm vibes to play with the tabs of weapons you cycle through for guns and, health to collect and armor to collect, such, classic gameplay on that sense. By the way, of course, Halo invented the regenerating shields, which became regenerating health. I know that Call of Duty didn't come up with that, but that really formalized it in games. So, don't need to send that message to me to correct me on that. Thank you. Yeah. But it's rock solid though. It's so well balanced that you can handle. You can handle your health and resources with, competent enough gameplay. It's just like really, really, really delightful. It's also interesting, I have to say, the enemy variety feels small in this. Smaller than in Half-Life 1 even, but it doesn't really outwear its welcome, because there's so many Combine to fight in this game. There's the Civil Protection guys, Overwatch Elites, the 3 types. Oh, and Shotgun Overwatch guys. But, they all kind of behave the same. I think their health is the same. It's almost negligibly different if there is any difference. But, it doesn't feel like a bore to fight them. Even here in the ending, like, once you get the super gravity gun, that, like, makes it feel different. So I don't really care that I'm just blasting the same Combine guys again and again and again. It's cool. It's really good. The enemy, with the little work we do here with these enemies, it's surprisingly fresh. I will return to a topic that I mentioned that I do have something to say about the pacing of the game. I think this is partly story, partly gameplay, but as I've been mentioning, Half-Life 2 just feels smaller than Half-Life 1. I don't think that's true now that I've, recorded this, and this ended up being 24 episodes, where Half-Life 1, I was 20 episodes. I don't think it's... and I don't know how much time I spent being stuck in this one versus Half-Life 1, and how much, like, I dawdle just talking nonsense in this one versus Half-Life 1, so I don't know how they balance out if you cut out all the chaff. But I don't think it actually is negligibly shorter than Half-Life 1. It probably is, in fact, longer. But there is something about the way the levels are made in this game, and the pacing, and the way the story is presented, that this game just feels shorter than Half-Life 1. Half-Life 1, it's just that slow, methodical exploration of the Black Mesa science facility. And then, of course, the Zen sequence. That just feels like, it doesn't feel boring, but it feels like it really goes on. Here, this game feels divided into such clear parts. There's the escape from City 17 to Black Mesa. There is the Ravenholm part, and then Highway 17, and then Nova Prospect. I'm counting the Sandlion part into Highway 17. And then there is... Hold on, I'm going to count these. So there's the Escape to Black Mesa 1, Ravenholm 2, Highway 17 plus Sandlions 4. 3, yeah. Sorry, I got to start again. Escape 1, Ravenholm 2, Highway 17 3, the coastline if you want to say 3, Nova Prospect 4, Battle in the City 5, the Citadel 6. Now, these are split into more than just one level, so it's I think it's 15 almost. But there's these 6 distinct chunks of the game, and I think those make it feel like this game is smaller. There's 6 levels to play through. Again, 6 levels. There are actually more levels, but they're really bleed into each other. What's the significant difference between Nova Prospect and Entanglement? What's the significant difference between Anti-Citizen 1 and Follow Freeman? There are, but, you can see how they also kind of really just bleed into each other. Not to mention, the story-wise, the pacing just feels so frenetic all the time. The escape from City 17, obviously, you feel constantly pressured to keep pushing on because the Combine's civil protection is on your ass just all the time. Ravenholm is slightly chiller, even though you're the urgency of you're escaping, but still, And Highway 17's got a bit of a leisurely exploration and drive vibe to it, But then, things start to pick up in Nova Prospect when, you got that to explore, and you got the urgency of saving Eli. And then the battle for City 17, again, just frantic all the time as you are dealing with, you're pushing forward to continue the fight. Although I will say, it's got that little bit of aimlessness that Half-Life 1 has there in that part. Maybe that's why I'm so fond of it. I don't know. And then the Citadel is like this nice little quick thing here at the end. So anyway, just the pace is just like breakneck. You gotta go, Gordon, and do this. You gotta go, Gordon, and do that. And it just lends it to like feeling like the game just is a little bit short, but it isn't. So, I don't know. It feels weird. Now, I can't stop talking about the gameplay without talking about the physics engine. It is hard to appreciate, again, how revolutionary this all was, and boy did Valve want to show that off to you with all the, like, swinging pendulum puzzles and, object moving things and, and just like all the ragdolling everywhere. Like that final ragdoll of that one corpse jumping on the piston. Obviously incredible. Like in any other game before Half-Life 2, that corpse would have been static, just glued onto that piston, motionless. But we actually got to watch it bounce around because it was like the physics engine was actually modeling that. Now that is huge, but are the applications of it particularly enormous? I would say in a game striving for immersion like Half-Life is, yes, it is actually important to the experience to have such a high-fidelity physics engine. But it's kind of a thing where you unfortunately stop paying attention to it a little bit once you get used to it, and you just kind of expect it. I would compare it to like when color came into movies. Like obviously when it first came out, it's a huge revolution compared to black and white movies. But I would say that, nowadays we take it for granted in movies that they're in color. Like there's nothing impressive about just the application of color. Of course, then that means that like aspiring filmmakers can strive to use color in fascinating ways in their movies to make an impression on you, the viewer. So, the ball is now in the court of game makers to use physics in an interesting way, in an interesting and unexpected ways to still make us be like, wow, okay, physics, baby. Half-Life 2 might feel a little bit dated now because it's just like a physics engine showcase, really. Now, because it was the trendsetter, it was the establisher, so it's not like doing anything super crazy with physics outside of like those like physics puzzles that are there to like show off, like, hey, check out this ramp you can lift with these buoyant barrels underneath it. Like, wow, very cool stuff. Again, 20 years ago. Nowadays feels like a bit of like a okay, wow, neat. Very quaint. But like it's hard to review that because the physics engine, again, so revolutionary, but so what we are used to nowadays. Although I'd be happy if people can point out, like, I'm curious, again, because I don't pay attention to physics engines in the same way nowadays. I do wonder if as much effort is put into like the physics engine being as intricate as it is in Half-Life 2. I am probably wrong, and like game makers don't put the emphasis there, which is probably fine too, because that's probably not what the game developers are particularly interested in, is messing around with physics. But it's impressive, but it can be a little bit divisive, I feel like. What also hasn't aged super well is I don't think this game is super beautiful. I hate to say that. If we go to presentation now, I think presentation, like, yeah, it's showing its age in the textures and detail. This game, again, 20 years ago, there like was no game as beautiful as Half-Life 2. Like, it was just when I remember salivating at those trailers, back in the day, just like incredible, especially again, like, because it was only 6 years before Half-Life, or since Half-Life, and just it felt like so beautiful compared to Half-Life 1. And that's partly why, like that mod Black Mesa was made, because there's the dream of like, wow, what if Half-Life 1 looked as good as Half-Life 2, So that's why that happened later on, Nowadays, I'm not as impressed, and I hate to say that also partly because I mentioned that in one episode, I mentioned that I hung around in a lot of, like, Half-Life 2 communities. There was a roleplay community in existence for this game, again. It's really funny to think about nowadays, but with Gary's mod now, it actually makes perfect sense. But of course, there was that community that I hung out in was also very interested in Half-Life 2 in general. And I remember, like, a couple of years in, like, people were being like, this game is already showing its age in graphics. You know, there was a little bit of grumbling about its looks. And I remember being like, what are you talking about back then? In 2006 or 7, I was still like, this game is amazing. It's so beautiful. I think now it is not quite as impressive anymore. Like, after this many years, yeah, you could probably, like, do Half-Life 2, or the Black Mesa Half-Life 2 remake with some kind of fancier engine, you know, and it would probably look a lot better. Not to mention, this seems like a little bit of a precursor for Real is Brown. That was a meme back in the late aughts where realistic video games just had like a really washed out brown graphical hue. I think this one's not the worst offender. There's plenty of color in there. But, you know, this worn down concrete city and, like, you know, sandy, barren wasteland regions, and then really grimy, brutalist architecture, alien, gray stuff. It's not exactly super pleasing on the eye. Kind of a problem with any post-apocalyptic story. That's not true. You can have a jungle post-apocalypse like Horizon, you know, lots of color there. But yeah, it's you gotta kind of you gotta accept the Real is Brown vibe a little bit if you're gonna play this game. Yeah. What I absolutely cannot, like, crap on visually, though, I mentioned this a few episodes ago. My god, the face work on these human character models is kind of mind-blowing. Like, that's the thing I've been most, like, marking out over in this playthrough a little bit by myself, is just that I'm so amazed by how expressive Alex is, and you know, like Barney is, and Mossman and Breen. Eli's fine too. He's really good. He just doesn't have a lot of appearances to emote. But, like, you know, I was commenting today on Breen's expressions, right? Like, when Judith great desperate look, is like, we gotta save Eli, and he just, like, sighs and rolls his eyes, and it's so incredibly expressive. It's stunning. That was something that they were hyping up in the trailers for Half-Life 2 way back when, was just showing off the, like, face tech. I remember, like, them, like, showing off, like, the G-Man making all kinds of weird faces. But that holds up 100% now. Like, you know, the other game I'm playing right now, Ghost of Tsushima, I'll say it's worse than this in the face work. There's so many times where characters have a really flat expression when they're talking. And, like, they're definitely meant to, you know, be emoting more than that in that scene, but it's just so flat. And I don't know, you know, Witcher 3 is better. It's definitely better. Like, Geralt definitely gets his feelings out, but even that, like, you know, okay, Half-Life 2 has much less NPCs, so there's less modeling to do, whereas Witcher 3 is a giant open world with tons of people. But, you know, there's a lot of, like, not characters that aren't Geralt or Ciri or any of the main characters who don't pull off as incredible expressions as they do in this game. So this game's nuts on that front, and that makes it even more immersive. Also, this is kind of gameplay, but also presentation. Level design still wonderful. It's so fun to, like, do the kind of parkour thing that you're always doing in Half-Life to work out where you're supposed to go to. And then it leads to, like, this antlion floor is lava sequence, just a natural culmination of all that, and all sorts of good hijinks on that front. So great level design in that sense still, just beautiful to play on that front. Also, music, fantastic. Really cool, like, electronic music here. Very, very, like, again, just very specific vibes to it. And Half-Life, more than any video game series, not just the music, but the sound work is so iconic. And Half-Life 2 just, like, adds to that iconicness with all the Overwatch chatter and classic, those are now, like, parts of video game lore and history, is the noises that the Combine make. It's just so central now. So incredible work on that front as well. So all in all, incredible game. I'm still super jazzed and impressed and happy to have played this. It was a delight to get back to Half-Life 2 again. Let's say my favorite things and then we'll wrap it up for today. My favorite protagonist. Oh, well, this one it's so easy. Like, come on, there's no debate about this. Alex is so cool. Like, she is like, okay, no skin off Barney's back. It was really great to have Barney become a character after just being a generic security guard in Half-Life 1. But Alex is all throughout there. She's backing you up in gameplay even. She'll help you fight the Combine at times. Her like acting is great. Again, the expressions on her incredible. She really contributes to the story in a fun way. She's a great foil to Gordon, Oh, that reminds me of one story thing I forgot to mention though. The silent protagonist worked pretty well in Half-Life because, again, the story was so minimalist. In Half-Life 2, the story is no longer minimalist, so the presence of a silent protagonist now feels a little awkward. I'm still fine with it, because I actually am okay with silent protagonists in video games. I think it ties to my nature of liking being just kind of being bossed around in a video game, so I don't know. But I do have to admit that now that the game wants you to care about the story, the characters a lot more, it does feel a little bit awkward now to have you still be Silent Gordon. I'm curious to see what Half-Life Alyx is like, since you are now actually playing a voiced character in Alyx. As I understand, they didn't make Alyx a mute for that game, so very curious to see how that goes. But going back to my favorite character, like, Alyx is a great foil and a great mouthpiece for Gordon. She will often say what Gordon might be maybe saying if he could talk. My favorite villain... There's really only one named villain in this game, Dr. Breen. Because, like, Judith is a villain, but she has her last-minute, like, good guy turn there at the end. So, I don't want to really count her as a villain here at the end. But Breen's a good villain. He shows up on the screens very impersonally, so you get a feel for the guy. You have a short encounter with him with the teleporter mishap, but otherwise you just get his public face. And then near the end of the game, you start getting hints about the true guy, where he's still devoted to his nonsense bullshit when he was one-to-one talking with Gordon in the Citadel. But he's still, like, clearly also just like a very self-serving, conniving guy. So, like, his duality is really fun. I almost want to give the Combine as a whole the best villain category, though, because as a villain group, the Combine are just so cool. Their design is unique. Their omnipresence and their dystopian takeover of Earth is chilling. And it feels like you are completely unable to forget about them at any point in this video game. Half-Life, the aliens feel a little bit less like personal as villains, and then the military's not there all the time, so I don't feel like it's quite the same. But the Combine, you just cannot stop thinking about them and what they are doing. They are so front and center the villain all the time, and Breen is just their mouthpiece, making him a good foil for Alyx, now that I think about it. Yeah. The only level that, like, really gives you a bit of a chillax is maybe Ravenholm, because there's no Combine to fight there. But even then, it's like the tragedy of Ravenholm is because of the Combine, because they shelled it with the headcrab rockets. So even there, you have to deal with that, like, their evil. And then, like, the first half of Sand Traps, where you're jumping around on. you're just dealing with sand lions. That's kind of, you got a little bit of maybe the only real break to forget about the Combine. It's unclear if the Combine caused the ant lions or not. Yeah. So they're such an omnipresent and great designed and just really, really, truly alien enemy. Once you like peel over the their interface with humanity, once you peel that away as you play through the game, and you realize how alien and horrifying they are, it's really cool. So really hard to say which is Breen my favorite villain or the Combine as a whole. I don't know. You be the judge. My favorite level, it's going to be Follow Freeman, even if I did kind of start losing my cool with that Strider fight in the courtyard of the administrative building. I was out of my game, I think. It's on me more than the video game. Although I could appreciate a little bit more health supplies there, I think. That was very to the bone. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like surface tension, but even cooler. The Follow Freeman. Maybe Anti-Citizen 1 plus Follow Freeman, if I can give the reward to 2 levels. It's just so cool to see, what has happened now. And, it's just really hard, it's, really uplifting to see that humanity as a whole is now fighting back. It's not just this, running away, this, really tight survival attempt, It's just, really cool. And it's there's great variety in the content of those 2 levels and what you're doing. And the culmination of that fight at the apartment building against the Striders. I have to admit that this time it didn't feel as epic as on my first playthrough. But, when I first played that 20 years ago, the Striders are skulking about and shooting you out of windows as you're climbing up into higher position. And then when you get to the highest position, there are gunships flying over you. And the Striders are, trying to shut you down. And, there are literally, not snipers, but, troops on opposite, rooftops trying to shoot you down. But you got your own crew, your own heroes are coming in, don't worry, Dr. Freeman, we got your back. It's so good. So, even if I was because I was a little bit dissatisfied with it felt a little bit jankier this time, and I was a little bit more dissatisfied with how I pulled it off. But still, the feeling came through even now, 20 years later, and I loved it. It was good fun. So lovely. I wish I could try and do a playthrough where I do it without any kills. Just, starting from when that first Strider chases you down the highway tunnel. But I don't think I'm not good enough to do that in this game. But yeah, those are my favorite levels. Pretty easy choice. I don't know, after that, maybe Highway 17, because it's just fun to cruise around in the car. You also see some fun locales there. But it was surprisingly long, though. Maybe a little bit too long, that one. It kind of outwears its welcome, I think. Because you remember at one point I was like, oh, I think we're done and we're moving to the, next part. And no, there was still a half hour of driving around in the car after that, blockaded tunnel with the zombies. Funniest moment. Oh, gosh. What was the funniest moment? Because there are some pretty funny moments here. I definitely had some laugh-out-loud moments playing this, but what the heck was the funniest moment in this game? I don't know, I guess the continuing cat gag was pretty funny. The completely sandbagging Alex when she's like, what cat? What happened to the cat? And then, Barney talks about it again when you meet him up in the City 17 fight. He's like, ugh, that cat, ugh. Okay, come on now. So, pretty delightful. Also, okay, I have to say, tossing a can at that civil protection guy at the train station, also pretty funny. It's yeah, you feel, you immediately get batoned, but it feels really, really just heh. So base, but such a base, humor, but very good. So that was Half-Life 2. Man, do I feel wistful. Now, having done Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Am I going to play the episodes? I don't know. I'm going to have to now make an admission. I never played either episode 1 or episode 2 of Half-Life 2. I only ever heard about them. I got the general idea. Apparently you shoot a lawn gnome into space is the plot in one of them. Okay. I guess a part of me was like, no, I want to play the real sequel, Half-Life 3. I'm not going to play these interval things. Maybe I was thinking, like, no, I'm just going to wait that, like, all episodes are out and then I play it. And, of course, neither Half-Life 3 nor Episode 3 ever came out, so I just never got around to playing them. I wonder if I would actually have a really good time playing them as well, now that I had such a good time playing this one, too. But, yeah, I don't know. Am I ever going to play those? Maybe. Well, I'll have to think about when and how, because I'm not really interested in doing a 20th anniversary thing for those. Because, again, I just kind of like, I don't think that's interesting, the episodes. Of course, I haven't played them, so maybe I'll play them and be surprised by how cool they actually are. And then there's Half-Life Alyx. It's a VR game. I don't have VR gear, and I'm not really planning on that, so never say never on that. Let's say if I do get VR gear ever in my life, definitely Half-Life Alyx is going to be like number 1 on my list of what to play. Come on, I love this game series, and that one actually is a proper giant game. So, yeah, I will be in on that like Flynn. I don't know if you can record those, though. I wonder how that's going to work. But at this point, it's all irrelevant because I don't have VR stuff, so. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this, because this was fascinating, and it was so delightful to go back 20 years. Another nostalgia bomb for yours truly. Hope it wasn't overbearing on you folks, me just being like, let me tell you about this moment in my time back in 2004. Yeah. Next week, I am going to definitely play a new game. It's a game that released this year. I have been meaning to play it. Now is the goddamn time. So, look forward to that then. It's going to be nothing like Half-Life 2. It's going to be a Japanese game, so it's going to be pretty different vibes once again, but I hope you guys will be okay with that. If not, well, thanks for watching this. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you here. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good time. Bye!